Hi, my name is Matt Hansen. I am a principal at IKM Architecture. If you've been to the Junior Achievement BizTown, we are the architects that design that space. My role as principal basically means I'm one of the owners. I have a number of partners, but we're in the ownership group at an architectural firm, and I am an architect. What motivates me to do what I do? That comes back to kind of the way I grew up as a kid. I was always creating things. So making things, creating things, being a creative individual are really the things that motivate me. I've always had a passion for building and putting things together. It may have started with Legos. I had an erector set. There was a toy called Constructs. These are all about building things, putting things together, and showing people my work. That was always a lot of fun too. That's one of the things about architecture. It is certainly an art, but it's an art that people get to experience. And when people come into a space and they're impressed by it or they enjoy it, that's a really exciting feeling to know that you had a role in that. But there's some danger in that too. People sometimes go to your buildings or drive by and they think that it's not that great, and maybe they would have done some other things. So you're kind of always open to critique as an architect. It's something that drives you, motivates you, pushes you to be better. And it's one of my favorite things about the profession, is that everything you do is judged to a certain extent, for better or for worse. What was your education pathway? So for architects, there are really two ways to become a registered architect. And without being a registered architect, you're not actually able to call yourself an architect. The first way is to go to a 5-year school in college. It's a 5-year program. 4 years will get you a Bachelor of Science in Architecture, and then the additional 5th year, generally called a thesis year, where you work on a larger, more detailed project, will get you a Bachelor of Architecture, and that's considered a professional degree. That gives you the educational requirement to sit for the architectural registration exam. Every state has their own architectural registration test, and in Pennsylvania we follow the NCARB standard, which is again just a governing body of the registration process for architecture. When I took the test, there were 9 different tests that we had to sit for. Now they've reduced it, they've consolidated some of the sections. There's either 6 or 7. But in addition to those tests, you have to gain 3 years of experience under a registered architect, basically interning for a registered architect. And you have to calculate your hours and make sure you're getting the hours in all the different sides of architecture, from project management to construction site observation to schematic design, conceptual design, and some of the business sides of things too. So as part of the registration process, they make sure you've got a holistic experience within the field. The other way to get registered, if you don't have a professional degree, a 5-year degree, is to get a 4-year degree in anything you want. I have friends that have a 4-year degree in dramatic arts, or math or science, something like that. And then you attend a graduate program for 2 years and you get a Master's of Architecture, and that will also allow you to sit for the architectural registration exam to be able to one day call yourself an architect. How do you define success? That's a pretty broad term, success, and there's probably a lot of different ways to look at it. So I'll confine this to really the specifics of my profession, which is architecture. So in architecture, success is a built building. Everything else is really just ideas leading up to that. So you can have the most amazing idea, the most amazing concept, and really beautiful renderings and imagery that support that. But without a contractor actually taking the plans and executing the design and building the building that people can then occupy and experience, it's not architecture. So success for us is really a building. I also believe that success is creating joy and making a difference in people's lives through those buildings. But without the building, that doesn't happen. So success for us is really taking a project from its first idea, first kernel of thought, and generating that and developing that with the owner, with a lot of the different stakeholders in a project, and creating a building that really solves a problem potentially, creates more space for the occupants. If it's a house and it's a dream house for a family, making sure that house has all the different characteristics and styles and aesthetics that the family has asked for. If it's a company, the same thing, making sure that workspace really works for the people that are going to go to work there and makes their job easier. We do a lot of hospitals at IKM, so making sure that the hospitals are designed in a way that allows the doctors and nurses and practitioners to really help people, make people better and improve their lives. So that's really success for us, is seeing that idea come to life as a built form. We talk a lot about the built environment. That is really the obligation of the architect, is to shape that and create that, and do it hopefully in a way that improves the natural environment as well. What impresses you when considering hiring someone? So part of my job is to interview a lot of candidates that have a desire to work for IKM. It's a great side of my job. I enjoy meeting and talking to different people, and we get to see a lot of different backgrounds, a lot of different personalities that come in to talk with us about coming to work for us. The thing that really impresses me is, I always think about design as a bit of a sickness. You're kind of doing it when you wake up in the morning and when you go to bed at night. You're always thinking about solving a problem through design. You're always creating and shaping things and taking buildings apart in your mind and seeing how they go together. You can't walk by a building and not have questions about the choices that were made, and maybe you would have done something a little bit different. It is annoying to all of those around you, for sure, but I think that's part of this exercise. Architecture is part art and part science, and the art piece is something you just can't help yourself but do. And so I can kind of get a sense of whether candidates have this same kind of sickness, and I hesitate to use that word, but I think it's appropriate. I can usually tell within about 60 seconds in sitting down with somebody if they really have that same affliction, if they're really passionate about design and passionate about the built environment. There are a lot of cliches with interviews, a firm handshake and being confident and really articulate with your words. That's certainly important. You always want to make a good impression, but you should be applying for work and seeking out a job that you are passionate about, that you can't help. You can't hide it when you're in the room, when you're talking about what you want to do. It should be so obvious to the people that you're talking to, and you're not able to hide it. That's what I look for, that authentic passion, that desire to do the kinds of work that we do and to do them in an exceptional way. So yeah, I would just encourage everyone going into an interview to be confident, for sure. But also be yourself, because it is so true that there are very, very talented people that are introverted by nature and quiet, and it's about talking about your story and talking about your passion in a way that's exciting for people to hear. Why did I choose to make Pittsburgh my home? So I did not grow up here. I grew up in Western Canada. I did a summer internship at an architecture firm here in Pittsburgh, and it was one of the best summers of my life. I just met so many great people and had an almost immediate network of friends. The people in this city were so welcoming, and there were so many different things to experience, from the Pirates and the Steelers and the Penguins to all of the arts and the theaters that we have downtown. The cultural aspects of the city are tremendous. It should also be noted that I met a girl here and married her, and that when you do that, you marry a Pittsburgh girl, you kind of become from Pittsburgh rather quickly. So that was a big piece of it too. But I love this city. I've raised a family here, raising a family here, and it's a great city to have a family in. There's so many things to do. I really feel honored, and it's a great part of being an architect, is being able to do the kind of work we do in a city like Pittsburgh. So that's my 5 questions. I hope that was at least a little bit interesting and talk about what we do. But I love being an architect. It's all I have ever run into do growing up as a kid, and it's always fun to go to work in the morning, and if you can find a job where you can honestly say that, you're doing something right. So thank you very much. Hope it was helpful. We'll talk soon.